Alright, so I want to do a little follow-up to the ancient coin video I did last. Ancient coin American phenomena. And I want to give a couple examples here. So, yeah, what I was saying in the last one was you just kind of want to be careful with thinking that since it's slabbed, it must be a really good coin. It may be a good coin of its type, but again, what I was pointing out is there's a lot of different types, and that's why it's good to do a little bit of research. Like, for an example here, the reverse of Philip II tetradrachm struck at different times show the dramatic deterioration in artistic quality that took place in the posthumous issues. So this is kind of an original here, and I've seen what I would call even nicer coins than this with better art. But anyway, this one is better than this one, obviously. And you start getting more stick figured, and I even like this horse definitely more than this one. So you kind of want to look for, maybe you find one certain design that you really like, or one mint, or it's just because it's the best strike of that die, which is kind of one of the ways they will address it. They might say this is posthumous from, they think, this mint here with this symbol, and so this is the best issue of this coin. It's got a good solid strike, not wore down, so we're going to get this a 5, a 5, a 5, and a star because it's the best one we've seen. And that's great, and not that that's not going to be valuable, but as far as if I could have a 5 of 5 star, would I want it? I would want it of this coin or of this coin, not this coin. So that's basically what I'm pointing out. Is just that, know what you're looking for. Maybe you prefer this coin, and that's fine too. I'm not saying that, but there's just kind of this thing that seems to be happening where my guess is, people just don't know the other coins or their quality type. And if it gets labeled a 5 of 5, they think, oh, well, that's the best, Philip II tetradrachm that there is. But in actuality, maybe not at all. That might be an off die that, it's the best strike and gets a star of that coin that they've ever seen, but it's kind of a lesser quality die. It's just the best example of that bad die. So that's kind of what I'm saying. You want to know what you're looking for and actually look at the coin. You can't just say, oh, it's a 2022 Silver Eagle and it gets an MS70, and okay, well, that's as good as you're going to get because of the different, dies and die engravers. And here's some more examples. You can get them where they're coming off the die. The flan is smaller and the whole picture doesn't fit in. So you get more detail, in these. So you just want to pay attention to all those different types of things. And I got some more clips here from Aaron Burke and Mike Nodelman. They do a great podcast once a month or something like that. And I really enjoy them. I'm going to insert a few clips here of them. And definitely go over and watch their channel. If you're at all interested in ancient coins like I am, I learn a lot from them. And it's kind of from a big, Aaron has a lot of experience and he's on there, and Mike Nodelman's more into new coins, modern coins, and doesn't have the knowledge on the ancients. And they kind of just go through from their first podcast and walk you into ancient coins kind of from a newbie perspective like me. So I enjoy a lot of their podcasts. Go over there and check them out. And I'm going to insert a clip here and be back to talk about a few things here in a minute.
And And the sound of that gong means that it is time once again for the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Burke. And since I'm Mike Nodelman, he must be
Aaron Burke.
Okay. So tonight on our podcast, we have a lot of auction results. We have got a really cool presentation for the educational segment. Double doofus. This is just chock full. So we should get to it. So, Aaron,
We should.
What is going on?
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit into this podcast. It's episode number 32. If you would like to go watch the whole thing on the Ancient Coin Podcast.
So moving on, let's go to the doofus. And I actually, client brought this to my attention. I had forgotten about it, and it was actually back in January, but I had forgotten all about this, and so I thought I'd go back to it. And I hate to pick on the NGC Star again, but I have to, because it just ends up being the situation over and over and over again. And so this sold back in January. The price was realized was 15,000 hammer. So it actually sold with the commission $18,000. This is an Alexander the Great dram. These used to sell for $500 when I first started. And I would say if I had this in my catalog, the most I would ever sell this for is $2,000. And that would be a lot of money for an Alexander dram, a lot of money. So for somebody to pay $18,000, you could buy a nice Aureus for that amount of money.
Yeah, this is a really small coin.
Well, it's a dram. So it's the smallest of the Alexander, one of the smallest, more common, smaller denominations. But it's ridiculous. It's a beautiful coin. There's no doubt. It deserves the MS star. But people don't pay money. I mean, obviously there's many people tangoing on this auction, but at least two people, but there's no reason to pay that. It's just ridiculous. And I don't think it will bring it a second time. I really don't. You know, you can have morons come to one party, but don't expect the morons to show up in every party, you know. So there's just no reason to pay that kind of money for that coin. And then the other one,
Okay, that video we were just looking at was of a dram that sold for $18,000. Now, this is a dram that I got maybe 7 years ago or something in there. I don't know, 5 years ago. And I'm going to take it out of here so we can get a better look at it. All right, so I'm going to take a look at this and so this one's nice and handy. It tells you right on it. 39's fine, right there. So they knew what they were doing back then. No, but okay, so if you noticed on that coin, if you look at it, the one that was just up that sold for $18,000, I bought this for I think $340 or something like that. You know, that one has the one that sold for $18,000 looks like it was just minted last week. I mean, it has luster on it and everything. So that was pretty cool. However, I did not like the coin. Like, it looked way too unreal. Much too robotic. Or, I mean, some people might like that, and that's fine. But I'm more into the, you know, reality, real art looking. And not that this one is great, but I like some of the, you know, character going on in there. So, and I mean, even now this is not very good artwork here on the back. However, I do like that this guy's beard almost a little bit better there. But yeah, anyway, here, this is a small little drum, and I bought this for $340 some. I'm not making the comparison saying this one is nice, but honestly, the artwork on this one I prefer. It looks more real. And so anyway, I'm going to bring out a tetragram here, and we'll take a look at it. And that is 4 drams. And you can get a lot more in a coin like that than you're going to get in, something this small. But it's still pretty impressive for being a little coin of that time. I don't know if you can see, probably can't, but there's some really cool blue toning on there. So anyway. All right, so then now we're going to take a look at another drum, and it's a little bit different. I like this second one. It only sold for 10,000 instead of 8,000, the one we're going to look at here next. But I kind of like it better than the one that sold for 18. Now, not that it's as clean as the first one, but even though the art is bad on it, it's almost, I like it even a little bit better for some reason. But either one of them I didn't like. So, but it's crazy that they're selling for these prices. And you can, get something, a much nicer looking one for way less. All right, hey, let's insert this next clip here.
If you want to say, well, has the market changed any? Well, no, it hasn't. Because if you go to the second one, this is not even a nice dram. And this one sold for $8,250 hammer. So again, not including the 20% commission on top. So it's like $10,000
Wow.
for what, and this was just this past month in June. So, Heritage is making a lot of money off these stars, and, I'm happy for them. I really am, but I'm sad for the collector, because the collector is going to lose their shirt big time. I honestly would not ask more than $500 for that dram. I think it's ugly dye. I think it's sloppy. I don't even know why they gave it a star. I think it's really silly. It actually makes me angry. This one didn't even get a star.
No, this one didn't get a star.
They
So
got a
hold your
choice
anger.
mistake. Hold my anger.
Yeah,
And it's a
hold your
posthumous. It's not even a lifetime issue. I mean, it's I don't
It's
know.
a lot of money for a common coin.
It makes no sense to me whatsoever. And so it just it bugs me. And again, people have asked, like, whoa, why doesn't Harlan Burke do this? Because I don't want to screw my clients. I mean, Heritage doesn't care, because it's in the name of auctions. They started at $500,
Right.
and estimated at $1,000, which, they're
It's not
in the
their
right
fault
to do.
that 2 people fell in love with the coin.
But they know what Heritage knows what's going to do gangbusters and what's not. They're not stupid. They know if they get starred coins that there's going to be people buying the plastic, and the coin has no bearing anymore. I was talking to a good friend about this today, and I said, it's sad when people just are buying the plastic, and the coin is just, I mean, you could have an empty, you could have a plastic coin in there. It doesn't really matter anymore. It's not the coin anymore. You're only buying the plastic. That's all you're buying. To me, this is like, if you want to say that it's some kind of like crypto space where it's like, just make the plastic valuable. Forget even having a coin in there. Put a picture in there.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's
I mean,
what
why
isn't
even
that
have
what
a
the
coin in there?
NFTs were?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so put an NFT in there.
Yeah. There
You
you
know,
go. It
I mean,
is
there's
kind of
just no
silly. I
point
mean,
anymore.
look, this is not a phenomenon that is unique to ancient coins, because we have the same problem with modern coins.
Okay, this is not a phenomenon that is unique to ancient coins, because we have the same problem with modern coins. Probably so, and you hear that all the time. Buy the coin, not the plastic. And I would say that's times X for ancients. Whatever that is definitely something substantial. And I want to give an example here. We have these coins came from a program that I was in when I started. I'm going to do a little bit more about starting out here in a video coming up. But so here's an example of buying the plastic or the paper in the plastic. Okay, these are State Series coins. They're MS70 Eagles. This is a Type 1, and this other one will be a Type 1 as well. Yeah, Type 1 as well. So, but this coin fetches up to $450. I just checked. It's been that for years. I mean, this is the second coin issued. The first one was Ohio. It goes for 150, 170 depending. But when you get down, this is number 7 of 50, Louisiana, and it's going for about $100. Now these are basically the exact same coin. Let's see if there's a difference on the year here. 2020, 2019. So maybe there's a little bit of difference there. But I have coins that'll be of the same year. In fact, the Ohio is probably 2009. Well, let's just check. I think the Ohio is 2019 as well. Yep, 2019. And this one is over half the price value under the Montana. Now the Montana has a picture of a bear on it. It's my home state, so I actually quite like it, and so I like that it goes for 4 times the value of other coins. But the point is, what's the actual difference between these two? Nothing. Or I guess I could put, that first one out there. They're both 2019s. What's the difference between these? And this one's even this is the first release, and that's why it's probably even up a little off normal. But they're all MS70 Eagles, and so they're the exact same coin. The only difference, it's even the same grading company. The only difference is this paper label. So, and that maybe is an example of where you kind of are buying the plastic. You kind of are buying, well, you definitely, I mean, that's definitely what you're doing. But maybe that's okay. I mean, I can see, like having a Montana picture with your coin or what. I mean, you can a little bit. I think it's quite exaggerated, but a little bit I can see it. However, when you get into ancient coins, I mean, it's gonna be even exaggerated worse, like, where you're buying the plastic not understanding the value of the coin inside. And that's kind of what's happening here with what they're pointing out, and what I'm trying to point out is there's different issues of this Athens Tetradrachm. They may all have Athena and they may all have an owl, but there's a lot of different mints with small variations and different sized planchets and stylizations that are different. And just because a coin gets sent to NGC, they're gonna look at that coin and label it for what it is and grade it per that issue. But that issue could be the least of the issues of this Athens Tetradrachm. And this is one of the most minted coins ever. So there's a lot of different issues. And so you want to know a little bit about the coin and not just buy because of what the label says, especially in ancients, because you might probably think, oh, well, I'm getting a 5 of 5, the best strike of that coin, and so I've got what everyone wants. All right, sorry, I lost audio in that last clip. But yeah, what I was saying is just, know your coin and ancients, a little bit about it, or, the artwork, make sure the art and the design is there that you want. It's just kind of this drum that they're talking about that went for $18,000. Is that, would he have spent that on that? Maybe he already has the other issues and that's the one he's looking for, or I don't know the details, but you just wonder if he's walking into that auction thinking, okay, that's a 5 of 5, the highest grade you can get, plus it has a star, how can you get any better? And so a coin that, even the best artwork on a drum, from that time, like Harlan says, the most he would probably charge is around $2,000 for a good artwork drum. So if this guy buys it for $18,000, and it's the, not a good art, not a good die engraver, that it was, a good die that it was struck with, and then finds, oh, well, these other drums are much more beautiful to look at, much better art, and they sold for $2,000-$3,000, then he goes to sell his, and people who know the coin aren't going to come near to paying that. And that's kind of what we're pointing out. You might get yourself hurt just looking at the plastic. So we're going to get back to a little bit more from them here.
And I think it's a lot of the same types of people. They're just basically, it's not that they're not smart, they're uneducated. They're more just ignorant to what's going on than not smart enough to handle it. And they're not interested in a lot of cases in doing the work to figure it out. They just want to buy something that they think is going to either hold value or appreciate. And so they start looking at things, and the first thing that pops up is, okay, well, this is an ancient coin. This is a really nice one. This is one of think about this. This is 2,000 years old. And they just start believing, they start drinking the Kool-Aid. And before you know it, they're buying something and they're overpaying for something that, although nice, is just not worth it.
Right. Yeah, no, it's it just, but I think that in ancient coins, it's happening at a much stronger pace than moderns. Moderns sell for a lot more than they should, but ancient coins, when you're paying $20,000 for a coin that's worth no more than $1,000 to $2,000, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense anymore. And some of that ignorance comes with ancient coins, because people think, well, they're 2,000 years old, they should be worth a lot of money, and so they just
old equals valuable and rare.
Mm-hmm. And look, you're right. It happens in U.S. coins all the time. We have clients that come into Harlan Burke all the time, and they bring us, they've never worked with a dealer before. And I'm sure Mike can attest to this as well. Never worked with a dealer before. They bring us a couple of coins. We tell them, well, there's a problem with this or whatever. And we give them the background, and they say, well, can I bring the rest of my coins so I can have you eyeball them all? And you bring them in and you find, well, this is a fake, or And we had a guy come in this week dealing with Mike Prince in our office, and one of the slabs he had was a fake slab. So, and it was an expensive coin. And so that he ended up buying on eBay. Well,
Right.
that's his mistake for buying it on eBay, but he thought, oh, it's certified, so it should be fine.
Right.
And
Until the
so we're
certification is
constantly,
fake.
you know, when people, they end up just going to Heritage or Stacks because those are the big names and they've got these big marketing departments. And so it's easier for them to find them right away. And then they think, okay, well, they're the authority. They're the biggest in the world. They sell the best coins. And they don't realize that there's a big world out there and that they are about with a bunch of other people, thousands of other people who are in the same boat as them and don't know. And so of course then they're bidding, and that's to the credit of Heritage and Stacks that they have that many people who don't know what they're doing, looking at their stuff and not getting any advice. And then they have too much money to spend, I guess, or too much available income.
Heritage and Stacks, their obligation is to try to maximize the dollars gotten for their pieces. That's it.
Right.
They're very good at doing that. That is not congruent with the collector's philosophy, which is trying to get, something of value or good, a really good specimen. One of the things that I thought was kind of eye-opening was if you think of grading, it's like, it doesn't matter, ancient, modern, whatever. But if you think of grading as like, okay, with each grade, there's a range. And it's where in that range does your coin fall? It's like it's easy to find coins that are in the low end of the range. What you want to find is exceptional coins for that grade. So these are going to be, they're technically should sell for the same price, but they don't because the coin is better. You've got to learn to look for that and learn how to recognize that in the coin, and that's how you're going to learn to buy it.
And like if you go back to that Alexander the Great that we showed that sold for $20,000 or $18,000, that coin is an amazing coin, and we used to always say there's one in every 2,000 or 3,000 Alexander the Great drams or tetradrams that you see that might be worth $2,000. And that's one of those coins, but is it worth 18,000?
Yeah.
Oh, no. And in fact, I checked that dram of Alexander that sold for 18,000 in January was the record for the most expensive dram that ever sold by a long shot. And it was number 2, this one that sold for 10,000 in June. So, there's something wrong with that, guys.
Well, you don't want to definitely an outlier.
It's okay.
You can't use that to adjust your auction history.
No, but they will, because now they'll have that in the population report when people do their research. And they'll say, well, the market is for that. But then when they're looking at Heritage's, research that uses NGC statistics, they don't get the rest of the world. So because why? Because it's all based on the grades that NGC gave. And so, it's a real problem, You think, in US coins, when you get those records, it's the whole market. It's the entire market. In ancient coins, that's not the case. It's like 10% of the market, maybe 15. I mean, it's definitely growing. I will definitely say that. And I think that I've always said this, there are some really good things that NGC is good for, really good for, like vetting coins, really good for it. I just don't like when people overpay for them. That's all. It's the advantage to NGC, to Heritage, and to Stacks, and to telemarketers, or anyone else who wants to sell these things for huge money. Look, if I can buy a coin that's raw, get it into a holder that has a star, and it sells for 20 or 30 times what I paid, I'm doing a little dance.
You're happy.
But
the guy who bought it isn't. Well, actually, the guy who bought it probably is. But
until they go to sell it.
They're going to be very short-lived.
Because then you have to hope to God that 2 other people feel the same way again. And that doesn't always happen in auctions. Not when they're starting them out at, and then what are they going to have to start it out at? They started it out at $1,000, at $500. Are they going to start it out at $10,000 because it brought 18,000?
Right. Where do you start that coin? 3,000? I don't know.
And at 3,000, you'd be really nervous if you paid the 18. and Heritage might say to you, and this is all hypothetical.
Sure.
Might say, "Oh, don't worry, it'll get there." I mean, I had that happen to
Until
me
it doesn't.
I've had that happen in Christie auctions selling antiquities where they've said to me, "Oh, can you lower the reserve because I have tons of people looking at it, but if you just lower it a little bit, it'll do gangbusters." And it didn't do gangbusters at all. It went for nothing, and I lost my butt because they lowered my reserve, and in the end, they don't care. They just take their
Right. They
commission.
gave you bad advice and it hurt you.
It hurt me big time.
Yeah.
So big time. And so, that's the other thing, guys, when it's not our pearl of wisdom, but you always have to take what auction houses say with a little bit of a grain of salt. Get other opinions. Get a dealer a collector's never come to me and said, "Hey, can you negotiate this collection? I don't want you to sell it for me. I want Heritage to sell it for me, but can you negotiate it for me and make sure they're doing all the right things for me?" It's probably worth to have some dealer do that for you. It's probably not the worst thing that can happen. We've done it on US coins.
Yeah.
So, and done very well for our clients.
Sure.
And worked on like 1 or 2%. So, it's, when you build, like I said, and I've said this in earlier broadcasts, when we help build a collection, we like to be part of when it sells too. It doesn't mean that we have to necessarily sell it, but we'd like to be at least advising the people on how to handle it. So that's at least a credit to us for helping build a collection properly, discounts and doing everything else.
I mean, at least we're not selling it and then trying to get as far away from it as we can, which is, that's the thing you'd worry about.
Right. Exactly.
All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. I want more people to get into ancient coins. I think they're awesome and enjoyable. I get more out of holding them than I have any other coin. But hopefully we know what we are getting and are happy with it. And we'll see you on the next one.